Ethan, I'm begging you, if you don't go back for him, I'll die right here. We'll all die together. Chloe's gut-wrenching screams ripped through the air. Her voice was shrill, like a rusty razor scraping back and forth across my eardrums. I stared at her, the woman I had loved for 3 whole years, now clinging to the outboard motor of our small rescue boat like a maniac. Her hair, plastered to her pale face by the torrential rain, with a mess of ruined makeup and desperation. She looked ragged and completely alien to me. "Chloe, let go!" I roared, my voice cracking. "The floodwaters are rising. We're out of time." "I won't. I'll die before I let go." Her eyes were wild, shot through with frantic, red veins. "Leo is still downtown waiting for me. He's not going to make it. You have to save him. You have to." Leo. Leo. Always Leo. That name had been a poisoned thorn stuck in my heart for 3 years. He was the one that got away, her forever unattainable dream. And me, what was I, Ethan Cole? A backup plan she could call whenever she wanted, a walking wallet with unlimited patience, or maybe just a tool to be sacrificed for the man she truly loved? My parents were right behind me, their faces etched with anxiety and fear. "Chloe, honey, stop this nonsense. Let go. The water's coming up too fast," my mom pleaded, her voice choked with tears. "I'm sorry, Mrs. Cole," Chloe cried, shaking her head. "But I can't just leave Leo. Ethan, please, I'm begging you. We'll save him first. It'll be quick, I promise." I almost laughed out of sheer rage. Quick! It was a 30-minute drive to downtown on a good day. Now, the whole city was submerged. Debris and raging currents were everywhere. Who knew how long it would take in this tiny boat? Worse, the emergency broadcasts had been screaming about a second flash flood wave, due any minute. "No," I ground out the word, forcing it through clenched teeth. "I am getting my parents to safety. Today." "Ethan, how can you be so selfish?" Chloe shrieked as if I'd stepped on her tail, instantly going feral. She glared at me, her eyes filled with contempt and disappointment. "I'm just asking you to save someone. It's a human life. Is that less important to you than saving your own skin? I can't believe I ever misjudged you so badly." I looked at her, my chest feeling like it was being crushed by a boulder. Me? Selfish? I ate ramen noodles for 2 months straight to buy her that designer bag she had to have. She craved crawfish from that place across town in the middle of the night, and I drove over an hour without a second thought to get it for her, making sure it was still hot when I handed it over. She had a bad day at work, and I walked away from $1 million contract to fly to her city and comfort her. Had she forgotten everything I'd done for her these past 3 years? Now, for some ghost, some memory of a man, she had the gall to call me selfish? What a joke. In the few minutes we'd been arguing, the water level had risen again. The muddy flood was already up to my knees, and the boat was bucking violently. "Son, stop wasting time with her. Let's go," my dad yelled, reaching out to pull Chloe off the motor. "Don't touch me," she screamed, dodging his hand and clinging on even tighter. And then it happened. Boom! A deafening roar echoed from upstream. The color drained from all our faces. The flood wall. It was here, faster than anyone predicted. I watched in horror as a wall of water, dozens of feet high, appeared in the distance. It was a snarling beast of mud, shattered trees, and debris, hurtling towards us with unstoppable force. "Hold on, it's too late," I screamed, desperately trying to start the engine. But it was no use. Chloe was wrapped around it, choking its mechanics. The monstrous wave was on us in an instant. No, it was the only sound I had time to make, a single, hopeless roar. The little boat was a fragile leaf, smashed to pieces and overturned in a split second. Icy, filthy water swallowed me whole. In the last moment before my consciousness faded, I saw it. I saw Chloe's face. There was no fear of death. There wasn't a shred of guilt for what she'd done to me, to my parents. There was only a dead, hollow despair as she whispered his name one last time. Leo. And my parents, my kind, hardworking parents, were dragged away by a massive whirlpool just a few feet from me, without even a chance to scream for help. My eyes were wide open. Blood trickled from the corners, mixing with the frigid water. I hate them. I hate them, Chloe, Leo, if I get another chance. I swear, I'll make you both pay in blood. Then, Ethan, wake up, Don't scare me. Who was that? Who was calling my name? I forced my heavy eyelids open, squinting against the sudden, sharp sunlight. A familiar, worried face leaned over me. It was Chloe, but not the Chloe from the flood. Her face a mask of hopeless devotion. This Chloe was wearing perfect, subtle makeup and a pretty sundress. Her expression a carefully crafted look of concern. You're finally awake. You scare me to death. I can't believe you had a nightmare so bad during a nap that I couldn't even wake you. She pressed a hand to her chest, feigning relief. I shot upright and looked around. This was the apartment we rented together. Clean sheets, curtains fluttering in the breeze, my video games still paused on the TV screen. Everything was so normal, it felt completely surreal. I instinctively touched my neck, then looked at my hands. No wounds, no bloated, waterlogged skin. I snatched my phone from the nightstand. The screen lit up. The date read, August 12th th. August 12th th. The day of the mega flood was August 15th th. I'm back. I was reborn. I actually came back 3 days before the flood. Huh. Ha 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 ha. I couldn't stop laughing. It started low, then grew louder and louder until tears were streaming down my face. This is incredible. Thank God. This time, I'm not playing the fool. Ethan, what are you laughing at? Are you still half asleep? Chloe was unnerved by my reaction and reached out to feel my forehead. I jerked my head back, dodging her touch. Her hand froze in midair, a flicker of annoyance and embarrassment crossing her face. What's your problem? I ignored her, throwing off the covers and rummaging through drawers for my wallet, debit cards, and ID. My parents, last time they died right in front of me. This time, I absolutely will not let that tragedy happen again. Ethan, what the hell are you doing? Chloe's voice was laced with impatience. I found my wallet, pulled out every card I owned, and headed for the door without looking back. Going to the bank, I said coldly. The bank. Why do you need so much money? She asked, her brow furrowed. Are you blowing it on that stupid video game again? I've told you 100 times not to waste your money on that useless crap. She always had that high and mighty attitude, judging everything I did by her own standards. I used to think she was just looking out for me. Now it was just laughable. I stopped and turned to face her, my eyes devoid of any warmth. What I do with my money doesn't require your approval, does it? Chloe was stunned. She had probably never heard me use that tone with her before. In her world, I was Ethan Cole, the loyal puppy who was supposed to wag his tail and beg for her affection. Her face went pale with anger. Ethan, did you wake up on the wrong side of the bed today? You could say that. I twisted my lips into a smile that was utterly foreign to her. Just got back from a trip to hell. Figured I should get my head checked. Without another glance, I walked out and slammed the door behind me. I could hear her furious shouting through the door, but I didn't care. I ran to the nearest bank and withdrew every single cent from my accounts. All of it. It wasn't a fortune, about $40,000 in total. It was every penny I had painstakingly saved over the past few years. In my past life, I was going to use this money for a down payment on a house for us. A home of our own. Pathetic. Now, this money was going to save our lives. I didn't go back to the apartment. I called an Uber and went straight to the biggest outdoor and survival supply store in the city. Hey, I need a rescue boat. The biggest, toughest one you've got, I said, slapping a thick stack of cash on the counter. The owner's eyes lit up. My friend, you've got good taste. I just got a shipment of professional-grade rescue boats. Military spec. They can handle anything, not just a flood. We're talking serious ocean squalls. I'll take it, and I want the best outboard motor you have. Give me 2 of them. One as a backup. You got it. And gasoline. I need a dozen jerrycans, all full. Also, life vests, MREs, bottled water, first aid kits, high-calorie food bars, waterproof flashlights, power banks. Everything you can think of. I want the best, and I want a lot of it. I was like a man possessed, buying everything in sight. The money flowed out of my account like water. But for the first time in a long time, I felt a profound sense of peace. These were the things that would keep us alive. It took all afternoon and a rented box truck to haul everything away. I didn't take it to the apartment. I took it to a secure underground garage I had rented near my parents' house. It was hidden and safe. I was exhausted when I finally got home late that night. Chloe was waiting for me on the sofa, her face a dark storm cloud. She shot to her feet the moment I walked in. Ethan, where the hell have you been? You weren't answering your phone. Do you have any idea how worried I was? Worried about me? I looked at her face, which was clearly primed for an interrogation, not expressing concern, and found it deeply ironic. Where did all that money go? She demanded when I didn't answer. Nowhere, I said flatly. Had a nightmare. Dreamed there was a flood, so I bought some supplies. Just in case. A flood? You bought supplies? Chloe looked at me like I was the biggest idiot on the planet. Ethan, are you a 3-year-old? You spent $40,000 because of a bad dream. Have you lost your mind? She pointed a finger at my nose, her voice rising to a screech. You're insane. Is this how you plan to live your life? I couldn't be bothered to argue with her. Why waste my breath on someone who was about to die for another man? I walked past her, went into the bedroom, and shut the door. Ethan, get back out here and explain yourself. Ethan. I could hear her pounding on the door. I lay down on the bed, covered my ears with a pillow, and replayed the horrors of my past life in my head. The image of my parents being swept away, Chloe's cold and desperate face. Scene after scene was seared into my soul. Chloe, Leo, just you wait. This time I make the rules. 3. For the next 2 days, I completely ignored Chloe. She mocked me, called me crazy, a spendthrift. I let it all wash over me. I was quietly making my own preparations. Mom, Dad, I will protect you this time. I swear it. I also took a trip downtown to the Ethelgard Tower. In my past life, this was where Chloe had begged me to go to save Leo. I stood at the base of the imposing skyscraper, a cold smile on my face. Leo, you better pray you don't call me in this life, or I'll show you what true despair feels like. August 15th. Afternoon. The sky turned dark without any warning. Heavy, black clouds like spilled ink pressed down on the city, making it hard to breathe. Then, the first fat drops of rain began to fall, splattering against the pavement. It's starting. My heart clenched. I burst into my parents' room. Mom, Dad, hurry, come with me. Go. Where are we going? It's pouring out there, my mom said, confused. Don't ask questions, just come on. I pulled them downstairs and into the underground garage. When I threw back the massive tarp covering the Zodiac boat, my parents were speechless. Son, what is all this? Dad, Mom, trust me. Get in the boat. Just then, Chloe came running after us. She froze when she saw the huge, inflatable boat and the mountains of supplies. Ethan, you really. Before she could finish, my phone and hers screamed in unison with an emergency alert. Riverbend City Emergency Management. Due to upstream dam release and unprecedented rainfall, catastrophic flooding is imminent. All citizens must evacuate to higher ground immediately. Repeat, all citizens must evacuate to higher ground immediately. The blood drained from Chloe's face. She stared at me in disbelief, her lips trembling. You, how did you know? I didn't have time to explain. The rain was coming down harder now, and streams of water were already starting to pour into the low-lying garage. Get in. I yelled at them. My parents snapped out of it first, scrambling nimbly into the boat. Chloe hesitated for a second, then bit her lip and climbed in. She knew this was the safest place to be. I fired up the engine, and the boat roared to life like a beast shooting out of the garage. The world outside was already a swirling chaos of brown water. The flood had swallowed the streets, tossing cars around like bath toys. Screams and cries for help echoed from all directions. It was hell on earth. My parents were pale with terror, gripping the sides of the boat. Chloe was huddled in a corner, hugging her knees and shaking. My face was a stone mask as I navigated the Zodiac through the treacherous currents, heading for the relative safety of higher ground. Everything was slowly aligning with the timeline of my past life. Suddenly, BZZ, Chloe's phone was vibrating. She instinctively glanced at the caller ID, and her entire body went rigid. I didn't need to see it. I knew exactly who was calling. Leo, her shining knight, her harbinger of death. Chloe answered the call, her hand shaking, and put on speaker. Hello, Leo. How are you? Where are you? Her voice was already cracking with tears. Chloe, cough, cough. Save me. Leo's voice on the other end was weak, but urgent. I'm trapped in the Ethelgard Tower downtown. The water, it's already at my feet. I'm so scared. Don't be scared. I'm coming to save you right now. Just hang on. like a shot of adrenaline to the heart. Chloe hung up and whipped her head around to look at me. That look, that expression, it was identical to the last time. With a thud, she dropped to her knees in front of me. Ethan, please, I'm begging you. Can we go save Leo? He's not going to make it. He's in the Ethelgard Tower. I looked down at the woman kneeling before me, and I smiled. A wide, brilliant smile. Here it is. It's finally here. The life or death question, presented to me once again. Except this time, the person answering has changed. 4. Ethan, did you hear me? I'm begging you. Seeing me just smiling and not saying a word, Chloe's tears started to flow freely. She crawled forward trying to grab my leg. I planted my foot on the side of the boat, neatly sidestepping her. Save him. I looked down at her, the smile on my face growing colder. Why should I? Chloe froze, as if she never expected me to ask that. Because he's a person. A human life is at stake. Ethan, you can't just let him die, she pleaded desperately. A human life? I repeated the words as if they were a punchline. My parents on this boat, aren't they human lives? Aren't you a human life? All those people out there screaming for help, are they not human lives? I steered the Zodiac slowly towards a nearby apartment building, its first floor already halfway submerged. On the roof, a family of 3 was waving their arms frantically, a middle-aged man, a woman, and a little girl who couldn't have been more than 7 or 8. Clutched in their arms was a terrified golden retriever, shivering uncontrollably. Help! Please help us! Their cries were faint against the roar of the storm. In my past life, my only goal was to get Chloe and my parents to safety. I had ignored all the other cries for help. But in this life, I brought the boat to a steady position next to the building. Get on! I shouted to them. The family couldn't believe their eyes. After a moment of stunned silence, they broke into joyous relief, scrambling down a rope I threw to them and climbing aboard. Thank you. Thank you so much. You're a lifesaver, a true lifesaver. The man was so overwhelmed with emotion, he couldn't stop bowing. The little girl looked up at me timidly and whispered, "Thank you, mister." The boat wasn't huge to begin with. With 3 more people and a dog, it was suddenly very crowded. Chloe stared at the scene, utterly dumbfounded. When reality finally hit her, she flew into a hysterical rage. Ethan, what are you doing? Are you crazy? There's no room on this boat. And we don't have time. We have to go save Leo. She looked at the rescued family with pure disgust, as if they were garbage that had just contaminated her sacred pilgrimage to save her one true love. I paid no attention to her screaming. I turned to the family, who were still in shock, and gave them a friendly smile. Sorry about this, folks, I said, pointing at the shivering golden retriever. As you can see, we're a little overloaded here. It's not exactly safe. For everyone's safety, it seems like we might have to throw something overboard to lighten the load, don't you think? My voice wasn't loud, but in the chaos of the storm, every word landed with perfect clarity. The smiles on the family's faces vanished. They looked at the cramped space in the boat, then at the dog in their arms, a creature that clearly understood what was happening. The man's face was a mess of anguish and indecision. They had owned that dog for years. It was part of the family. But now, Chloe seemed to understand where this was going. Her face went white, the color draining from it second by second. Just then, I slowly turned my head, my eyes landing directly on her. The friendly smile was still on my face, but the words that came out of my mouth were as cold as a grave. Or, you could get off, and then we could bring the dog along, too. Crack! A bolt of lightning ripped across the sky, illuminating Chloe's bloodless, horrified face. Her eyes were wide with terror and disbelief. Ethan, what? What are you saying? She stammered, her voice trembling. Nothing complicated, I said with a shrug, the picture of innocence. Look, one of you for one dog. It's a fair trade, isn't it? Space on the boat is limited, after all. You want me to die? Chloe's lips were shaking so badly, she could barely form a coherent sentence. Why would you call it that? I shook my head, correcting her. I'm giving you a choice. You can choose to get off the boat and swim downtown to save your precious Leo. See? You get to be the hero for your great love, you free up some valuable space for us, and you save an adorable dog in the process. It's a win-win-win. Perfect, right? With every word I spoke, Chloe's face grew another shade paler. She finally understood. I wasn't joking. I really, truly wanted her to die. 5. No. Ethan, you can't do this to me. Chloe completely fell apart, slumping onto the floor of the boat. Tears and rainwater streamed down her face. I was wrong. I was so wrong. I shouldn't have pushed you to save Leo. Please don't make me get off. I'm scared. She began to sob and beg for mercy, a truly pathetic sight. The Ethan in my past life might have felt his heart soften. But now, looking at her two-faced act, I only felt disgust. My parents watched from the side, their faces a mixture of shock and confusion, but they remained silent. They knew I must have had my reasons for doing this. The family I had rescued huddled in a corner, clutching their dog, too terrified to make a sound as they watched the drama unfold. I crouched down, grabbed Chloe by the chin, and forced her to look me in the eye. Scared? I sneered. You weren't scared in our last life when you clung to the motor and wouldn't let me leave, sentencing my parents to death. Were you? You weren't scared when the flood swallowed us whole, and the only thing on your mind was Leo. Were you? Chloe, you love making choices, don't you? You love taking the moral high ground and forcing your decisions on everyone else. So today, I'm letting you make a choice. Whose life is more important? Yours, or the life of the man you can't forget? My words struck her like a sledgehammer. Ethan, what are you talking about? Her pupils contracted as she stared at me, desperately searching my face for any sign that I was joking. She found none. My eyes held nothing but ice-cold hatred. I, and Leo. She opened her mouth, but no words came out. It turns out that when death is truly staring you in the face, so-called epic love is remarkably fragile. I let go of her chin and stood up, not bothering to look at her again. I navigated the boat to the roof of a nearby building that was still well above the waterline. It was a safe spot for now. I turned to my parents and the other family. Mom, Dad, you all wait here for now. I'm gonna go rescue more people. There's enough food and water here to last you a while. Son, what about you? My mom asked, her voice full of worry. Don't worry, I'll be fine, I said, giving her a reassuring look. I then unloaded most of the food and water from the boat, leaving just enough for myself. Once that was done, I jumped back into the boat, ready to leave. Chloe snapped back to reality. She scrambled on her hands and knees to the edge of the boat, grabbing onto the side with a death grip. Ethan, don't go. Take me with you, please. I'll never mention Leo again. I looked at her, as if watching a clown's pathetic performance. Oh, right, I said, as if I had just remembered something. I gave her a helpful reminder. Leo is at the Ethelgard Tower downtown, isn't he? I pointed towards the distant cluster of buildings, barely visible through the sheets of rain. You see, it's not that far in a straight line from here. If you start swimming now, you might, just might, get to see him one last time. Without giving her another chance, I kicked her hands off the side of the boat. Chloe let out a piercing scream as she tumbled backward, landing in a puddle on the rooftop. I started the engine, turned the boat around, and sped away without a second glance. The roar of the motor drowned out everything. But in my mind, I could still hear her hysterical curses, mixed with desperate, hopeless sobs, crying out Leo's name. Goodbye, Chloe. I won't give you the chance to destroy anyone else's life in this one. Go save your own great love. I hope, for your sake, you can swim as fast as you can talk. 6. The rescue boat cut through the murky, swirling floodwaters. I had become the lone ferryman in this city of the dead. I rescued an old man who was close to freezing, stranded on the roof of his car. I rescued a young mother, desperately clinging to a floating door with her child. I rescued a group of college students, trapped on the second floor of their dorm, running out of food and water. Every time my boat appeared, I could see the light of hope reignite in their desperate eyes. Thank you. You're a hero. Son, what's your name? We're going to build a shrine for you when this is over. Hearing their heartfelt gratitude gave me a sense of satisfaction I had never known. This, saving lives, felt real. It was infinitely more meaningful than everything I had thrown away in my past life for a woman who never loved me. I went back to check on my parents once. They and the other family were doing fine. The little girl shyly offered me half of a cracker she had saved. The golden retriever ran up to me, affectionately rubbing its head against my leg. I stroked its head. See, Sometimes dogs are far more capable of gratitude than people. The flood raged for 3 full days and nights. I barely slept, surviving on MREs and energy drinks. I don't know how many people I saved. 100? 200? I lost count. All I knew was that as long as I saw someone struggling, I couldn't stop. The fuel was consumed, jerrycan by jerrycan. My stockpile of supplies dwindled. Then, on the morning of the 4th day, as the first rays of sunlight pierced through the clouds and glinted on the water's surface, I saw them. On the horizon, where the water met the sky, were the large vessels of the National Guard rescue teams that I knew it was over. We were saved. Using my last ounce of strength, I steered the boat to a temporary relief center. The moment I stepped off the boat, my legs gave out, and I collapsed on my knees. A crowd of people rushed over. Survivors I had rescued, uniformed rescue workers and reporters with their cameras and microphones. Flashbulbs went off incessantly. They were calling me a hero. I looked at the emotional, grateful faces surrounding me, and I smiled. Yes, it was a hero. An ordinary man who, in the face of an apocalypse, had saved countless lives with a single boat. And the woman who had once nearly destroyed my entire world? Later, after the floodwaters receded and the city began the long process of rebuilding, my dad was watching the news and suddenly called out, "Son, come look at this." I walked over to the TV. A reporter was giving an update on the aftermath of the flood. In a somber tone, the anchor said, "Rescue teams today discovered the body of a woman in the silt downstream. She has been identified as local resident Chloe Vance." According to sources, Ms. Vance was attempting to reach the downtown area to help a friend during the flood and was tragically lost to the waters. A picture of Chloe from her driver's license appeared on the screen. In the photo, she was smiling, sweet, and gentle. Who would have known what a selfish, twisted heart was hidden behind that pretty face? I felt nothing. She was dead. Oh, it was like hearing about the death of a stranger, completely and utterly meaningless. I simply turned away and patted the head of the golden retriever dozing at my feet. After the family that owned him was settled, the dog had refused to leave my side. They said he was a smart animal, that he knew I had saved him and wanted to repay the debt. I named him Lucky, because he was lucky to be alive, and because he showed me that loyalty and gratitude are sometimes the most valuable things in the world. As for Leo, I heard about him too. He was never in the Ethelgard Tower. The day before the flood hit, he had used his family's connections to get an inside tip. He was already on a private jet, flying off to some tropical resort. That desperate phone call to Chloe was nothing but a cruel prank he played before skipping town. He just wanted one last ego boost to savor her blind, ride-or-die devotion to him. He treated her life as a game to satisfy his own vanity. It was laughable and pathetic. A woman who would kill herself and everyone around her for a fantasy. A man who treated human lives and emotions as toys. They really were a match made in heaven, except their stage should have been in hell. Sunlight streamed through the window, warming me and Lucky. The city was rebuilding. Life was moving on. It was all over. I looked down at Lucky. He looked up, nudging my hand with his wet nose. I smiled. In my second life, I had lost a toxic love, but I had saved my family, earned the respect of my community, and gained a loyal friend. It was a good trade.